There were three types of colonies: proprietary, charter, and royal colonies. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland were proprietary colonies run by proprietors. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut were charter colonies. Charter governments were political corporations. The charters provided a fundamental constitution and divided powers among legislative, executive, and judicial functions. Royal colonies were New Hampshire, New York, Virginia, the Carolinas, and these were run straight from the King of England, who sent governors over to govern these colonies.
However, these colonies didn't just magically appear. They all had a start. For example, Massachusetts was founded by the Puritans and the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Additionally, Plymouth, Massachusetts was founded by the Pilgrims on the Mayflower. Georgia, for example, was founded by James Oglethorpe, and Jamestown was founded by the Virginia Company with Captain John Smith.
Now here's a video that shows the landing at Jamestown.
And now this is the landing of the Mayflower.
The main idea of mercantilism is the mercantile theory. It was used by all the major nations in Europe and is the belief that money equals power, and power comes by amassing gold and silver in a nation's treasury. In order to accomplish this, the country needs to export more goods than it imports. Britain passed laws that enforced mercantilism on the colonies, which was the cause of the major tensions and stress between the colonies and Britain. One of the main aspects of mercantile theory is the navigation laws. These laws restricted commerce of the colonies specifically to Britain, and it was the most famous mercantilism law. However, these laws were weakly enforced because of salutary neglect. Mercantilism in America was not thought of badly colonization until the 1760s. This was when Britain began enforcing mercantilism and got rid of salutary neglect. One of the first acts passed by Britain was the Sugar Act of 1764, which increased taxes on foreign sugar. It was the first major tax on the colonies, and it angered the colonists. In addition, major acts that angered the colonists were the Quartering Act of 1765, that required the colonists to provide food and quarters for British soldiers, the Stamp Act of 1765, that put taxes on stamps and other legal papers, the Declaratory Act of 1766, that was passed at the same time the Stamp Act was repealed, gave Parliament the right to bind colonies in all cases whatsoever. These acts angered the colonists, but exactly how angry were they?
Very angry!
Here's a dramatization that shows exactly what their reactions might be.
Hey guys, new tax.
What's X?
What now?
It's on sugar.
What? Are you kidding me? Come on!
There's a new tax, guys.
What? What's X?
It's tax on stamps.
What?
What?
Are you kidding
This
me?
is outrage! This is an outrage! You know what I said to her?
Hey guys, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Hey, there's a new act out. There's a new act out.
What is it called?
It's the Quartering Act.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me guess. It's probably something stupid like we have to allow British into our house and feed them. Like that'll ever happen. That's so stupid. What? What?
Are you kidding me?
That's exactly what it is.
You kidding me right now?
What?
Another act that angered the colonists was the Townshend Acts of 1767, which put taxes on glass, white lead, paper, paint, and worst of all, tea. This act led to the protest known as the Boston Tea Party. Now we go to a dramatization of what the Boston Tea Party may have looked like.
My tea!
America!
Take that, you prince!
America, the land of freedom and opportunity, but originally it may have been a land of suppression under the rule of Parliament and the King of England. So it's no surprise that the American colonists sought to create their own elected representatives in one of the first assemblies known as the House of Burgesses.
No, I've been thinking. We should make a legislature.
What kind?
A representative one.
Like a house?
Yes, exactly.
Who's gonna be in it?
Burgesses!
What are we gonna call this?
House of Burgesses, of course!
Brilliant artwork. Let's go tell everybody.
However, other governments and assemblies were started for other reasons. For an example, the Stamp Act of 1765 created so much uproar that people came together to create the Stamp Act Congress. Created in 1765, 27 distinguished delegates from 9 colonies met in New York to draw up a statement of their rights and grievances. The Stamp Act Congress was ineffective, but it was significant in the fact that it took a step towards intercontinental unity.
What are we gonna do about the Stamp Act?
I think we should make a Congress.
What are we gonna call it?
Stamp Act Congress.
Genius.
However, the most effective of these governing bodies was the First Continental Congress created in 1774. They met in Philadelphia to consider ways of redressing colonial grievances. 12 of the 13 colonies, with Georgia alone missing, met with 55 distinguished men, among them Samuel Adams, John Adams, George Washington, and Patrick Henry. Now we go to footage that reveals how the First Continental Congress may have been started.
You know, I've been thinking,
You do that a lot.
and I think we should make a Congress.
Okay, then, what type of Congress?
Continental, of course.
And I assume we're gonna call it the Congress of Continents?
No, the Continental Congress.
The First Continental Congress was effective, but some delegates felt like they needed more. As a result, they created the Second Continental Congress.
Well, since the first Continental Congress didn't work out,
Don't say that, it was great.
as I was saying, I think we should make a new one.
Yeah, let's go on.
We should call it the Second Continental Congress.
Good thinking, Joe.
However, not even a Second Continental Congress could hinder the bubbling cauldron that was about to explode. It became so much that Richard Henry Lee of Virginia stated, "These united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states." However, it did not stop there, as the colonists moved to create a Declaration of Independence and formally separate themselves from the suppressive king and the Parliament of England. This added to a war that had already been started and could not now be stopped.
The first major war was the French and Indian War. The westward pushing British penetrated into the French Midwest continent. The British were willing to fight the French for new land claims. The unconnected colonies could not all pull together to fight this war. Britain called for a Congress to meet in New York called the Albany Congress, to unify the colonies and to keep the Iroquois loyal. After peace was settled, and the British took all French land claims, Britain passed the Proclamation of 1763, which enraged the colonists who had fought in this war to settle westward.
But what did the French and Indian War actually look like?
Well, I'll show you.
It's the French. There it is. The French.
What, French? Come on, my
Down.
Okay. But more importantly was the American Revolution. The American Revolution started in Lexington and Concord and turned into a war of Whigs versus Tories. The Tories greatly outnumbered the Whigs in soldiers and had all
Britain did
economic
have
advantage.
foreign affairs to deal with, and the French would later join the colonists to get back at Britain. After the Battle of Bunker Hill, there was no chance for reconciliation. Thomas Paine wrote the book Common Sense, which gave many Americans a will to fight, the colonies invested fully in independence and separation after signing the Declaration of Independence. Finally, after years of fighting against all odds, the colonists gained their independence in Paris by signing the Treaty of Paris.
No footage of the American Revolution exists, but here's a pretty accurate dramatization.
Where are the bloody Americans?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
But I don't know either.
But I don't know. No, the Americans! Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God!